All right, well, let's get started, guys. It's 10:32 a.m. Eastern time. Let's get started. You guys are, according to my unscientific survey I just did, you guys aren't too excited about the real estate market, but why not? What are you guys seeing out there?
Unless you have a super strong buyer with a lot of cash or a lot of flexibility, it is challenging.
Mm-hmm. What do you?
Which fortunately I do get some of those.
Yeah. What else? What else are you guys seeing? So it's hard to buy stuff, limited inventory.
I have seen a lot of sellers and homes listed on the MLS. The sellers are only asking for conventional and cash, no FHAs, no VAs, no USDAs. Homes that do qualify, just cash and conventional, plain and simple. Many homes are like that.
All right, Malvis, and why would they do that? If you have a listing, why would you do that?
I would assume that because FHA appraisals may stick with the property for 6 months, and if you get the house, if you get conventional offers, then it doesn't matter how much the house would appraise because they can do it all over again, and or you can waive that contingency with no problem.
Yeah, that's one thing, but why else? You're right about that. That's one thing that FHA. Also, you have to make all the repairs before they'll close. Plus, what is the real issue that I would have listing a house and doing FHA in this market?
Well, you're getting highest and best. Conventional have more money as compared to FHA buyers, so they're willing to go above appraised value, waive appraisal contingency. I mean, they have a lot of
what does everybody
options.
think? Right. What does everybody think first thing when they hear FHA?
Low income, no income.
Income, right? They don't have a lot of cash, right?
Correct.
And we're in this market right now. What's the best thing you can do for your seller?
Give them cash.
Well, what the best thing you can do for your seller right now is get them over appraisal, right?
Right.
The thing you can always go back to them and say, look, hey, the buyer's got a little issue here because your house appraised for more than or for less than I sold it for. Why? Because I'm a great realtor. I got you more than appraisal, right? That's a bit, but that really is the best thing that you can do for them is say, look, your house, you go meet with them, you say, look, your house is going to appraise for, here's my CMA, your house is going to appraise for 450. I think we can probably get 475, 480, or maybe it's 520, whatever you think you can get for it. The best thing that we can do is make sure that we get you as much money as we can. And am I going to get, well, let's lower the price a little bit. Let's say it's 350 and I can get them 380 or something. Am I going to get a cash rich buyer who can make up the difference and give me a legitimate waiver of appraisal if they're FHA? Probably not, right?
No.
You're not, I mean, you can't say, hey, show me your bank account too. I mean, you can ask for that, but you're not going to. You're just going to take a conventional buyer who will sign a waiver of appraisal.
Correct. And that's what they're doing.
Right. So that's why your FHA offers, you guys are getting over appraisal, although appraisals are starting to stretch out too. I've noticed lately, but you guys are getting over appraisal for a bunch of stuff, and your buyers are paying over appraisal for a bunch of stuff, and you're offering waivers of appraisal or at least some kind of gap measurement, appraisal gap measurement. And it is an assumption, and a fairly accurate one, that FHA buyers can't bring an extra 20 grand, 30 grand to closing, right? I mean, that's what you think when you sit down and do it. And you're getting so many offers, you don't have the time or feel the need to investigate enough and say, that's an uncomfortable question to ask. Do they have an extra 50 grand laying around? Well, and you look dumb because the agent's going to say, well, why would we do an FHA if we did, right? Well, I mean, there are reasons, but they're probably not. So in the interest of time, so yes, it is difficult for FHA for a lot of reasons right now for FHA. If there is a way, you guys, they have 3% conventionals and stuff like that, but like Tammy said, you got to have strong buyers with cash, and that's who's buying. And we're about to look at why. I'm about to screen share with you guys, and we're about to look at why that is. And here we go.
One of the issues that I'm having right now is trying to keep up with as fast as houses are appreciating. It's just, it's kind of crazy. I'm having a hard time coming up with realistic comps, and when my buyers ask, Daryl, how much do you think I should offer on this? I look like I'm a deer in headlights. I'm like, I don't know. They're going up so fast. I really don't know what to tell you right now.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And the appraisers out there they're going up so fast that it's getting hard for the appraisers to work as well.
Wow. So look, guys, yeah, you're absolutely right. And the good news, Daryl, or for better or worse, and maybe worse, is that's going to start slowing down now some with inflation, which we'll look at in a minute. All right. So November statistics, you guys all saw this probably. It's on your MLS. Look at active listings and listings sold. And they've got this in the bottom right hand corner, months of inventory, but that's easy to just say listings sold 17.4, active listings 17.8. So there's 1 month of inventory out there. That is ridiculous. Last year, before this big boom hit, and this was right before the big boom hit, property average days on market were 42. Now they're half that. Just absolutely incredible. These things, obviously, they're hanging around less than a month. That's why there's 1 month inventory and it's gone. New listings, that's not a good sign. Only 17, down 13% from last month. Of course, that's the holidays too, but down 13% from last month. Only up 1% from last year when things weren't selling nearly as well as they are now. So pending sales, down from last month, up from last year with no inventory. So this is all, look at the average sales price, up 17% from last year. Now, these are always, that doesn't mean every house went up 17%. This is always, a lot of this is determined by like the point that Tammy made. So don't be fooled by these numbers. That doesn't mean your house is going up 17% a year. What this means is, like Tammy said, I can only sell if I've got strong buyers with cash. So these are people these aren't people buying this. We're going to look at a minute at the median house sale in Pine Hills right now, it's 250 grand. In Pine Hills, median house sale. Guys, when I started with FRI 7 years ago now, the median sale in Central Florida was $210,000. Now Pine Hills is 250. And you guys see what the average sale was 385. Of course, that's skewed a little bit from the median, but the median I think is around 350 now. So that's crazy stuff. You guys have any thoughts or questions on these numbers? Nothing? Okay. Let's go to some of these other things here. Here we go. Let's look at this. First time home buyer stuff. There's, oh, here you go. The median home price is 330. Where does it say, like, by way of 50 cities? I'm sorry, that's the median listing price was 330. Median listing price was 330. Median sale price was 350. So that shows you also what's happening on the median too, is $20,000 over asking for the median house. Pine Hills, most affordable city, median home listing price, that's the listing price of 250. So that tells you it's even more than that. None of this other stuff would be interesting to you as far as that goes. Guys, so let's talk a little bit about inflation and interest rates. You guys are hearing all over the news about inflation. You guys are seeing inflation. You're seeing it at the gas pump and everywhere else. And you guys know the role of the Federal Reserve System in interest rates, stuff like that. You guys know what it is right now? Look at this.
It's almost 7%.
Inflation, yes, but interest rates, the Fed rate. The Fed rate right now is close to zero. It's 0.25 or zero, depending on the quarter we're looking at. Look at the federal. This is over 200 years since the beginning of Federal Reserve. Since they've been charting it of interest rates, not the Federal Reserve, but since they've been charting interest rates. So look at this back in 1981, it's at 15.8%. Look at it right now. Zero. Okay. That's 1.5%. There's all this stuff. And what this is it's the base rate that the Federal Reserve loans money to banks for. Then banks obviously lift it up to a couple of percent so they can, the broker's got to make some money, the bank's got to make some money, everybody's got to make some money. That's why we're paying 3.25. But as this rate goes up, the banks still make their 2%, 3% on top of that. But that raises up everybody's rates when they raise this. Why do they raise it or lower it? And the reason is, when interest rates are low, the economy grows, inflation increases. When interest rates are high, the economy slows and inflation decreases. The only reason the Fed raises rates to stop the economy, to slow the economy down, is if inflation is getting out of control. So what I'm telling you is this inflation is going to cause interest rates to eventually go up. Okay. And I mean, I am not a fortune teller, but that's what happens in economics. So I think you can expect that. So how do we respond to that? Is this an opportunity or a threat? What is this? What do you guys think?
With rates have been super, super low for years. What, like maybe 7 years? I mean, forever.
Yeah.
If you can find something, which I look at income properties and I look at commercial properties and I look at everything else out there. If you can find something worth buying right now, actually for years now, it doesn't make any sense not to buy it.
Right.
Including flips. If I find a good flip, the money situation, which I really don't go on the mortgage market I use private money for mine. But still, even the private money is kind of low. So yeah, if you can find something, why not? Go for it. Rates are still super, super low.
Right. But when they go up, what do you see that as?
Slowing things down.
Right. Theoretically, yes. How are you going to respond to that, Tammy? What is Tammy going to do knowing that interest rates are probably going to go up?
I don't know.
You don't know?
Or
Is
the
it a
same.
Is it a good time to buy right now? What should your social media be saying right now? What message should you be getting out?
Oh, buy before the rates go up.
Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Yes, he makes totally sense.
Okay. What about sellers? Where obviously we have a huge deficit of properties available, right? We have inventory is way down. What if I'm a seller and I've been holding out because I mean my house keeps going up all the time. My neighbors keep selling for more and more, and I've been holding out.
You might want to sell and buy because you can buy right now at a lower interest rate. If you wait, you're going to pay a higher interest rate.
Right. So when interest rates go up, and we talk about this on here once every 6 months or so, when interest rates go up, I can afford, let's say I can pay $2,500 a month. Can I afford more house or less house?
Less house
As
because
interest
you're
rates go up.
paying more to your interest rate.
But I'm probably going to get the same house. I'll just pay less for it. I'll be able to pay less for it, right? So is now a good time to sell? If it's a good time to buy, guys, I'm not going to ask the question. If it's a good time to buy, it's a good time to sell. That means buyers can pay more because the interest rates are lower. When interest rates go up, buyers can pay less with the same amount of money for that house. So now is a good time to sell. If it's a good time to buy, it's a good time to sell, right? Because you guys are going to be flooding the market with buyers. The market is still flooded with buyers. Is the market going to be as flooded with buyers if we're paying 5% instead of 3.25?
No.
right? Buyers are going to go, well, they're going to say, you know what, now's not the time. You know what, we tried. Tammy couldn't find us anything. We were pretty strong. We didn't have a lot of cash. Tammy couldn't find us anything. We tried. She put in 20 offers for us. We tried. And now interest rates are going up, and now we can't. I mean, we couldn't buy at 450. Now now we can only afford 420, right? So now's not the time. So your sellers are going to be in worse position 6 months from now, a year from now, any potential sellers. So now is the time to buy and to sell and to make that move from where they are, sitting on their house, appreciating the appreciation. Now's the time to go buy something while interest rates are low. Okay.
Brian,
Yes.
one of the things that I'm finding is that the sellers are afraid to list their house right now because they said there's nothing to rent and there's nothing to buy. So they're afraid of listing their house and selling it and not having a place to go.
Okay. And that's a great point. So here we go. There is always a dynamic of power. There is look at power as a pie. Okay, it's a power pie. In a flat market, it's equal. We've all seen the pretty even markets where the buyer and seller have about equal power, and it's just make an arm's length transaction. All that. We've seen bad markets. If you guys were around in 2009 through 2013, the buyers decided what to buy, and there was plenty of options out there, and the buyers would bully the sellers. And now it's the opposite. Seller can bully the buyer. So your seller is worried that they're going to get into so there's two pies here now. They're selling their house pie, and they've got the buying their house pie. They know that they're going to have a very small piece of pie in that buying the house pie. They have no power, very little power when they're buying, but they have all the power when they're selling, because those two pies, they always even out. Okay. They have all the power when they're selling. So what they do is you market this property and you say, yeah, we're selling our house and we're going to lease it back for up to 2 months. We're selling this house, or up to 59 days, whatever will let the other person sign the affidavit that they're going to move in within 60 days. Or we're going to lease it back for 2 months, or we're going to, lease it back, or we're going to close later. Whatever it is that they want to do. Or you go out and you help them find a house now, but it's just hard because they have such a small piece of that buying pie that nobody wants to take their offer. When you go in there, when Tammy goes in and presents her 15 offers to her sellers, she's going to say, well, these 3 are FHA, and these 3 want provisions of selling their property. They want contingencies on selling their property. Although, as long as that offer is strong, Tammy will say, look, here's their property that's going to sell in a week. So again, you've got those two pies that kind of even out. But when I'm selling your property, I'm telling you guys, I sold my house back in June, and when I got divorced, my ex lived there. We had it worked out where she lived there all the way through July 15th. We closed on June 2nd. We got our money, and she lived there till July 15th for $1. Okay. So, which we never actually paid. So that's how the market works. We had all the power. All right. So does that answer your question? You have power when you're selling. So what I would tell that seller in that case is, look, we'll get you guys time. We'll get you time. That's all we can do. Now, is that guaranteed them anything? No. Maybe I would say, let's go find you something. Tell me what you want. Let's go find you something. I can sell your house with no problem. Let's go find you something first. So guys, you just got to work for it. You just got to talk to them. You just got to help them through. But I would explain to them what's going on right now. You guys know, with the inflation numbers that just came out, the Fed is going to raise the interest rates. We're going to be paying, interest rates are going to be higher a year from now than they are right now.
Ryan?
Yes.
I'm getting a lot of, well, yes, the interest rates are good, but I'm going to pay more for a smaller house now. So why would I move? Why would I buy another smaller home?
Well, the interest rates being lower are going to help them buy more house for their money. But yes, if they're comparing, Bonnie, if they're comparing what they bought 10 years ago to the house they bought 10 years ago and live in right now to what they're going to buy, Absolutely. Yeah.
They
say,
should
"Look,"
have equity too, to be able to kind of upgrade as well.
yeah,
They
but Tammy,
should.
they're already counting that. They're already putting that money. They're already counting that money as money in
Okay.
their pocket. That's part of their net worth, and they don't want to do that. Bonnie, I get it, but you can't compare what you bought 10 years ago to what you buy today. And so, yeah, if their only concern is pocketing money, and
Right. But
they
for instance, I've been talking to somebody and they're like, well, if my house is worth 350 now and I sell it for 350, what can I go buy for that same 350 that I get for my house? It's going to be a smaller, lesser house.
well, that doesn't make sense. If their house is worth 350, then they should be able to buy the same house for 350.
Right. But
I mean,
like
I
a
don't
lateral
know.
move.
It would be, well, of
Not
course it's a
really
lateral move.
upgrading.
If you don't put more money in, you're going to get a lateral move. I mean, yeah, it would be a lateral move, Bonnie, if that's what they want to do. But if they don't, it doesn't sound like they need to move then. I mean, it sounds like they're happy where they are. If they're not happy with other stuff they can buy for 350, or their house is worth more than 350. So, I mean, yeah, it's going to be, I mean, it is, they're talking about today's market versus today's market. Of course, it shouldn't be lesser house. It should be the same house.
Yeah. Well, I think they're I think what they want to do is upgrade without putting any more investment so they can eventually, have their home paid for.
Well, if the best way to have your home paid for is to stay there and pay it. But if that's what they're looking for, if they're looking to upgrade their lives, they're going to have to put a little bit more money in it. But they already have this 350 house. They probably paid 200 for it. I mean, I don't know how long they've been there, but I mean, they are upgrading their lives there, because they're not making a 350 payment right now. They're making a 250 or 200 payment.
And it's a math problem, and it's not a magic potion. It's not a magic thing to want to upgrade and not increase your lifestyle, or I don't know. It doesn't really.
Well, Tammy, they are. If whatever they bought, if their interest rate was 5%, then they're going to upgrade for the same money at 3.25. Or I don't know what money I don't know what they pay for their house. Or what but they can now is the time to upgrade. That's exactly what you sell them, because a year from now they're going to be looking at this exact same apples to apples to move. But right now they can do a little bit better because their payment will be a little bit less because interest rates are down. Like Daryl said, interest rates have been down for years. But Daryl, not to refer to your age or mine, we've seen. We thought 7% interest rates were low at one point, and when Daryl says they've been down, they've been 4.25% and 4.5% and 4.75%. We just saw Daryl a year ago or so 2.875 and 2.75 and stuff like that, so that's ridiculously low.
I still finance some of my properties at 7% interest. It's private money. It's a personal choice, and it's just, I was in the banking industry for a long time, and I know how interest works, and 7% now doesn't destroy me.
Well,
because I know how it works.
7% for private money is ridiculously low. That's fantastic.
Thank you. That's why I get it.
Well, good for you. But just so you guys know, private money, that's you're usually looking at 12, 15%, something like that. Yeah. So that's great. Any other comments on that? Those are great questions, and that's exactly what the kind of stuff that we need to talk about, because that's exactly what's going on out there. How do you get folks to sell and buy right now? Because obviously people don't want to sell, and I think that they're all looking at. Forget the holidays right now, but I think they're all looking at yes, Bonnie, great point. What am I going to buy? And also, my house keeps appreciating. I'm just going to sit on it and ride it out. But at some point, you've got to get off the wheel, and if everything's appreciating, then the house they're going to buy is going to appreciate as well. But the difference is they're going to get in at 3.25 instead of 5.5, right? And you guys know how that affects your rate. You guys know how much a percentage point affects your payment.
Well, I think.
Can you go over that?
Tammy hit on something a moment ago about the equity in a home. If sellers are selling and they're buying it, if they're moving up or upgrading, They might be buying a house that's going to cost them more money, but if they get good equity out of the house that they're selling, and then they're buying another house, that greater amount that they can put down on the next house can offset the interest rate that may go up. So sellers are still in the positive area to move like that.
Yeah. What do you think about that, Tammy?
No, I agree. It depends. That's why at the beginning you have to ask them what their goal is. Because I just had a seller, a guy sold a house to for 522 a few years ago. We're probably going to list it 800. But I asked him, I'm like, oh, I'm thinking, do you want to put that equity and, like, number one, I'm like, okay, you could go two ways. You can put all that equity and be in a better position, like have a lower, buy a $500,000 home, put 300 on it and have a $200,000 mortgage. Or do you want to, upgrade and put that towards more expensive home and still be in the same position? So it's just a matter of maybe educating or finding out what their goals are as well.
I think what it comes out to is that a buyer, if they're selling a house, that is, they take the equity out of that and put it on another property. Most people are looking at what their monthly payment is. So I would what we do in mortgage companies, what they tell us, I mean, a buyer can take that equity and apply it, even if the interest rate does go up or stays the same. They can either lower their monthly payment or keep it the same if interest rates go up a little bit. So it's kind of a juggling act.
Plus, I'm sure everybody knows this, but you can also sell the fact that if you have a seller and they don't owe very much on their house, so they qualify for a new house and able to keep their existing house, then they want to sell their existing house once they've moved, they can take that equity and put it on their mortgage and they'll recast it and recast the payment for them. So, so it's not like they have to sell their house to use that equity if they qualify without selling their house. But after they sell it, they can put that on their new mortgage and they'll recast it. And I think that's allowed one time, usually.
Yeah, that's a good strategy too. And this all comes from asking questions. How many of you guys have talked to people and you just assumed what they wanted and you found out later that they had a bunch of money or they had a bunch of stuff that you didn't know about, or they even told and then later on they actually told you the truth? And we've talked about this for a long time. How many of them have told you, yeah, we want to spend $375 and get a 3.2, and then they start sending you start looking all over for them and they start sending you 5 bedrooms, for $550. And you're like, I thought we were $375 for 3 bedrooms. And they're like, oh, well, we talked about it. And you're like, why are you sending me this stuff? This isn't what I've got on your auto search because that's what you told me you wanted. All right, guys. We had a question. Corel asked, how does a percentage rate affect your payment? Take a look at this. Give me a nod if do you guys see this mortgage calculator?
Yes.
It's a basic mortgage calculator. $400,000. I just put no down payment because I want the loan to be that amount. Interest rate 5%. Your loan payment, your principal and interest 21.4729. Let's make that 4%. And it went down $140, $130 something dollars on 400,000. And now let's make it 3.25. And that's about what your payment will be on 400,000 right now, your principal and interest. They've got the PMI in here because I got it at 0% and property taxes, 2407. All right. So let's do, just so we can really do the easy math, let's make it 100,000. 3.25. All right. It's 435. Let's make it 4.25 to see what 1 point does. 491. So it's funny we've always said that because we've always said $60 per 100,000. and it is about that. 435, 491. So it's about $60 per 100,000 per point. Okay, per month. So if you got a $500,000 at 4.25, this should be about $300 from 2450 to 2175. Yep. All right. So just under $60 per 100,000 per point. Guys, I just Googled mortgage calculator. So
Well, we have a mortgage calculator in the MLS. Are you aware of that?
oh yeah, you've got it on your apps. You got it on everything. If you've got our FRI
Yeah.
app, you've got it on there too. It's very,
Yeah.
very simple. But I mean, I just, since we're sitting on Zoom, I just Googled it.
Yeah.
But just, play around with the numbers, show your clients stuff like this. Show them it's 3.25 now that they could probably get. That's probably the average of what people are getting. And show them that, projection, look up projections and stuff like that. But, let's say it's going to be 4.25 in a year. And the payments go up, in this case, $300 a month. Now, what does that mean? So, all right, so to back that out, how am I going to get to, let's say I need to keep my payment under $2,500. Okay, so right now at 4.25 a year from now, I'll only be able to borrow 500,000 and do that. But let's say it was, let's go back to 3.25%, and let's say I can do at 3.25%. Whoa. So I can get about 570 for the same payment. 575 for the same payment, that same 2493 that I had at 4.25 at 500,000. I could borrow 75 grand more.
And that's no down payment. So if you put 5%, they probably can afford more too.
Well, yeah, this is just the loan
Yeah.
amount.
Yeah,
This is
yeah,
just
yeah.
The loan amount. I
Yeah.
don't care what you pay, but this is the
Yeah.
loan amount. And there it goes, 570. So 72,000 more for roughly the same payment. All right.
Life is
So
a math problem.
That's how, but you can just play with this stuff, but that's how much difference the 4.25 and the 3.25 makes. Watch this, 2489, about 2,500, 2813 at 1 point more. Okay, so it depends on what you're doing stuff, but at 500,000 I can borrow 75 more. That means at 250 I could borrow 37.5 more for the same money. So what does that mean to your buyers, and what does it mean to your sellers? Your buyers are going to get more house for their money right now, significantly more house, right? There's a significant difference between a 572 and a 500. Or the sellers can get significantly more for their house because buyers have more buying power, right? When the buyer, when this goes to 4.25, they can't afford this 572 because it's at 2,500. They can only afford 500. Okay.
Ryan.
Yes, ma'am.
I put it on the chat, but I downloaded Carl's mortgage calculator that my lender gave me. And now when I go to show the listings, since I already have the property taxes in there and the lender, they tell me, what the lender gave them approximately for interest rate and such. I use that while I'm showing the home, and I tell them, here, this is how approximately your mortgage payment will be like if you like this house. And it's helpful to them.
Yeah,
And
it is helpful. Make sure you get everything in there, HOAs and stuff like that as well. So
Yes,
they're not,
yes,
so
it
they don't
has,
get-
it has that in the calculator. It has the space for the HOA and all that.
Okay, good. Just make sure you're putting it in there so there's no surprise. They don't, get down the line and say, you told us our payment was going to be 1,800. Now it's, 1,950.
Yes.
Can't do that.
And I also always tell them you may want to double check with the lender, but
Sure.
that'll be an approximate idea.
Excellent. Any other questions or comments? Lizette, talking about buying down points with equity. What do you mean by that besides just buying down points with cash? Is that what you're trying to say? I don't know. Let us know. Any other questions or comments on that stuff? Are you
I have
guys?
a question
Yes.
about in regards of what Tammy talked about when recasting. I didn't understand what that means. What that means.
Tammy, did you hear that?
You
When
want me to
you-
answer that? No, you just take their equity. You talked, number one, you discuss it kind of upfront that do you want to, these are possibilities. Like I knew this person did not owe much on their existing home. They qualified for their next home, but they wanted to use that equity. But in this market, it's really hard to do a contract contingent. So you explain to them that once they can buy their second home, close on it, then list their first home that they were living in. When they sell that and close on it and they have their equity, the cash from the sale, you tell the mortgage person up front, like they're going to want to recast this. And so then I think they have to make one payment or two payments or something. And then they'll take that chunk of money, whatever it is, put it on their new mortgage, and that lender will recast the payment, which recast is like recalculating the payment as if they had that money to put down initially.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mhm.
Okay, guys, anything, any other questions or comments?
Hello, Ryan. Good morning. Good morning, everybody.
Hi, Alex.
I have a question. I'm wondering what you guys are thinking about. Right now, it looks like when you do a listing, it only goes, like you talked before a few minutes ago, goes for about a month, depending on the price and everything else. But what are you guys thinking about the market hitting like pause or slowing down? Because as soon as the rates are for interest rates are going up, it's going to start slowing down. And the market, what are you guys thinking about? Maybe I know it's a hard question and nobody knows the future, but you guys think about a year, 2 years from now?
Anybody have a guess on that based on what we've just talked about? All right, Alex, I'll throw mine out there. I think interest rates are going to go up in 2022, probably a point, based on people I've talked to. And now is the time to buy, and now is the time to sell. Like that's what we've been discussing here. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if you're talking about coming with a listing, which is still going to go very quickly right now because there's no inventory, or if you're talking about for buyers. But interest rates are headed up, in my opinion, just based on historical data. What happens when there's inflation?
Okay, the reason I'm asking that is because we're probably going to start seeing again a lot of short sales and foreclosures if that comes to that point. And I was just wondering if it was going to be like a year or 2 years from now.
Okay,
Because
well,
then
we're not
you're
going to see
a lot of people buying.
We're not going to see short sales based on interest rates going up. We're going to see short sales based on people losing their jobs and stuff like that. So I think with all the people that have been out, short sales and short sales, we're not going to see as much of either because people are not upside down in their houses because of the ridiculous, ridiculously good in some cases, values going up. Right. So I'd only short sale if I owed more than it was worth and I'd work it out with my bank. I think we're going to see, and I've been talking about this since the forbearance thing started. I think we're going to see a lot of these forbearances come due, a lot of people having to sell their house They're not going to get foreclosed. I mean, there's still going to be foreclosures. They're always, everybody has individual circumstances that makes them get foreclosed. But what we're going to see is people, I need to sell my house. I can't keep making my mortgage payment for whatever reason, because stuff happens to people. I can't keep making my mortgage payment. I need to sell my house. Uh-oh, I'm afraid I'm going to go bankrupt. I'm afraid I'm going to get foreclosed. What am I going to do? And they're going to call you, Alex, and they're going to say, I'm in a bad spot. I need to sell my house for it. I'm going to get foreclosed. The bank is threatening to foreclose me, because they are going to threaten to. They don't care if you have, they hope you have equity, right? So they're going to send you letters if you don't make your payment for 3 months, and they're going to start the foreclosure process. But you need to be reaching out and talking to these people, or they're going to call you and say, what am I going to do? The bank's threatening to foreclose me. And you're going to say, well, how much do you owe? And they're going to say 200,000. And you're going to look up their house and you're going to say, well, your house is worth 340. Let's sell that bad boy. Right. And I think we're going to see that, because people have equity in their house and they just need to sell it and stuff. So you guys need to be able to come up with net sheets and stuff like that, and show them, look, even after you pay commission, the closing costs and everything else, your house that's worth, let's say it's worth 320 and they owe 250. You're still going to be able to walk out of here with 25 grand, even after you pay me and you pay the closing costs and you pay everything else. All right. So that's what's going to happen, because people are going to, even if they just bought 2 years ago, if they have equity. Right. So, yeah, I mean, I don't care if they bought FHA with 3.5% down just 2 years ago, they're probably got enough equity to sell it and walk out of the closing with 10 grand in their pocket. You know, even if they didn't buy great and didn't put a lot of money down. So I think we're going to see a lot of that, more so than straight up foreclosures, unless people are just completely, you know, ignorant of how it works, which, you know, hopefully they talk to somebody. If not, hopefully you're reaching out to people who are being foreclosed upon and getting them that. And the banks want it too. The banks don't want these properties.
Okay. Is there a tool in the MLS or anywhere where you can see where people are just falling behind payments?
Where have you guys found the best tools for it? I've heard so many different things for the best tools for finding foreclosures. What have you guys ever found for the best tools for foreclosures?
They've got hot charts on most of the websites, like what HomeSnap and so you can do a hot search to show you where the foreclosures are coming up. I've done that on a few neighborhoods. That's usually the best way that I found out.
Okay. Anybody else finding anything that works well for foreclosures?
I've never used it, but it used to be the RPR had a way to search for foreclosures or pre-foreclosures.
Mm-hmm. So what's what you want? You really want the foreclosures and pre-foreclosures, Alex? And guys, all of you guys do, because this is going to be a thing. We've talked about it since the forbearances started going out. Even certainly the ones where they told them you can get 6 months and because of the CARES Act, and then they get to renew it for 6 months. These folks haven't been paying mortgage for a year, even though most of them are not, you know, all due at once, all your back payments due at once. Most of them just let you pick back up again and tacked it on to the end. Those people still haven't been paying mortgage for a year. And a lot of people still aren't back to work. And a lot of people, if they were out then, they're out now. And a lot of people have other circumstances that come up, but a lot of people, as you guys know, when your income is a certain amount and then you have extra money, there's no such thing as extra money, right? You start spending it on stuff, and you increase your lifestyle and you do all other stuff, no matter how disciplined you think you might be, you end up spending that money. And now they're going to have a hard time paying their mortgages. They're going to miss payments. They're going to do stuff like that. They're going to get threatened. And a lot of them just want to walk away. Now they can say, look, I'll just take my 100 grand in equity and go and sell the house. And you need to be there for them when they want to. So I think that's good. So so RPR was one thing, Alex, and Daryl was talking about HomeSnap hot sheets, hot search.
Okay, thank you.
All right. And guys, and Google this stuff, play around on the internet, see what you can find. Get relationships with bankers or whoever you can and see what's going on out there. Guys, this is your life. get out there and do it. Get out there and scratch what you can together. Act like you're hungry before you are, right? So, any other questions or comments on that stuff? I've been talking about that for a long time, guys. This is not going to be, I don't care what the guy's trying to sell you foreclosure stuff is. This is not going to be a huge foreclosure deal, even at the next, unless real estate completely tanks at some point. But this is not going to be a huge foreclosure deal coming up here soon. The hard times that we're having now, because home prices, especially in Florida, have been continuing to grow. People have equity. That's the difference between now and 2008. People have equity. And we all had equity in 2008 too, but real estate was where the crash started. So it was a real estate crash. Any other kind of crash of anything else is not going to create, losing jobs is going to create a market where we have a lot of inventory, more so than foreclosures at this rate, unless something changes. Any other questions or comments on that? Awesome. Anything else, you guys had a great, like you saw the numbers, guys, you had a great, I'm gonna put them back up here. You guys had a great November. You can see that sales in November were up 2% from last year, 4% from last year, 2% from last month. You guys were up significantly. Very happy for you guys. You guys were up at like 10%. So you guys did great. Oh, never mind. I wasn't sharing it. I've shown you the numbers. But you guys, you can see they were up a little bit, but you guys were up a lot more than that. Very, very proud of you guys. You guys are doing great out there. And so keep going. Keep going. I know things get a little slow around the holidays. Now is the time, guys. We're going to start doing a goals session. I'm going to send you guys out some information on creating your goals. We're going to do that again. We're going to talk about, those of you who are willing, which probably be none of you, about what your goals were this past year and how you did on those. And not necessarily what they are, but how you did, if you don't want to share exactly what your goals were, but how you did on your goals. And we're going to create goals for 2022 again. It's that time of year where I harass you guys and make you feel bad about not setting goals. So let's do it. Let's set those goals and do and hit them. Remember, SMART goals, right? You guys remember what they are? The SMART, S-M-A-R-T. I'll send that out to you guys. All right. So what else do you guys have?
I have a question.
Yes, Tammy.
So I'm not sure they're going to go forward with this house, but there's a house and the garage is kind of, it was the person's only owned the house for 3 months and she's selling it. So, and I've got the buyer. The garage, the previous inspection for that, the seller said that was settlement. But the inspector for my people said the house is like falling in, it's more than settlement. The block is cracked, but it's pushing out a little bit. So we had 2 land people come and give an estimate to have it reinforced. And the buyers are willing, the sellers aren't going to do anything, but the buyers are willing to take that on after closing. Is that, and if they get insurance, and I know that the one guy that came out said that, I said, what about insurance? And he said, no, once the insurance company knows that this is going on, they won't insure the place. So if the appraiser comes out and doesn't note anything, we're probably good to go. But is that any kind of insurance fraud? They are going to fix it like right after closing. It'll take, 2 months. So do I have any liability and am I covering up anything or?
I wouldn't want any part of this, Tammy. This is a problem that the seller needs to fix, and they're going to learn the hard way by your buyer walking out. I would not.
My buyers want the house.
Are they paying cash?
No.
Well, then they're going to have insurance. You need to disclose everything to insurance. Absolutely.
Okay.
Insurance isn't going to cover them if not. I mean, I think you can get insurance, but insurance isn't going to cover it if it falls. And then
No, they don't. They're willing to pay for it. It's just getting the insurance policy.
I know, but it's going to be, let's say that it's fixed in a week. It doesn't matter if that wall falls down in the meantime, insurance isn't going to cover it. Who's going to be liable? I just don't like it. Are you going to be fine? Probably. Is it going to work out fine? Probably, but probably isn't something I would be comfortable with on something like that.
So what do I do? So what do I do? What do I tell the buyer, that I can't be a part of this transaction?
No. They need to disclose it to an insurance company. An insurance company might charge them more or might exclude it from the insurance, which is fine. The buyer's taking on the liability then, but you told them what you needed to do. So the insurance company will probably exclude.
I told her, because I normally will call around and get insurance quotes, but I told her, I said, I'm not going to be a part of getting these insurance quotes on this house, because I didn't want really anything, to be a part of that. But
I think you should talk to an insurance person and see, can we exclude something here for until they get it fixed, and then we'll go full bore. All right. But the key there is to get them to exclude it. They do exclusions for roofs. If you tell them you're getting a new roof and this one's starting to leak and whatever, then they'll do an exclusion for that until it gets fixed and then include it. So there's ways around it. I'm not telling you to run from the transaction. I'm telling you.
I've tried to get them. I'm trying to be the most negative on this transaction. Plus they're not even paying very much commission, but that's okay. I've tried to get them to not do it, but they keep coming back to this house and they love it. So,
we'll do what's best for your client, which is get them the house they want. But it's.
I mean, if the appraiser cites that and it's subject to that getting fixed, then we'll have a dead deal, and they know that, because the seller is not going to do anything. And then this is an agent that's only done 3 deals. And I want to make sure, I know I don't really have to write this because it's really in our contract, but I want to do another addendum that basically says, if the buyer cannot get insurance, that affects their financing, and we get to walk away, and they get their money back, because I don't trust this listing agent.
If they can't get insurance, then you get your money back anyway if you have a finance.
Exactly. But I just want to make sure the sellers know that. I don't know that
it doesn't matter if they know it or not. It's
okay.
The law, so it's in the contract.
Yes. Okay.
But if they can't get insurance, and at some point, that's what I was telling you. If this deal doesn't go bad, the real solution for this, the seller needs to fix it.
Yeah, and they're not willing to, and now they have to disclose it to the next people.
If this sucker buyer is going to buy it like that, then absolutely. But if I'm the listing agent, I would tell my seller, let's hope these idiots buy it, because otherwise,
Exactly. And I'm like, I can see potential issues, but it doesn't, the estimate people didn't seem, it's 8 to 10,000, and they're okay with taking it on, because it's a fairly reasonably priced home and they love it. So I've tried to show them.
And I'm fine with, I don't think they're idiots for doing it, by the way. If they want the house and it's 8 to 10,000, they'd be willing to pay more than what they're paying. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
And
luckily these are my people that have $250,000 cash on hand. So it's like, it works.
Okay, good. We'll do it then. But yeah.
We need to disclose that to the insurance company.
It's not good enough, Tammy, to just say, you guys get the insurance. I don't want any part of this because it's dirty. You can't do that.
Okay. So.
I mean, you can. They can tell you.
So do we just say that there's like a settlement issue on the side, on the one garage wall?
Yeah, we have settlement on one wall. We're looking into what we need to do to reinforce it or something like that. Yeah, you can say that, but can we exclude that or something for a month while we get it fixed, etc. All right.
Okay.
And I'm not sure about that. I've seen it on roofs. Obviously, that happens all the time.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure about that.
Okay.
Because it's kind of an exterior, kind of an important deal. But at least it's the garage. It's probably not going to fall on somebody.
Yeah, it is pulling some of the wood. I mean, it's not major at this point, but you know what it's from? And I would never even imagine. It's from gutters the water from a gutter going right down. Yeah, and it's like it's saturated the area, and so it's sinking in.
Water is the most damaging substance on earth is relentless. It never stops,
Yeah.
and it always works, and it always moves stuff. So yes,
Yeah.
it's bad.
That's crazy.
So yeah, it's eroding out the under the foundation of the house, under the foundation. Yeah.
Or I think it's just making the soil soft as well.
Yeah.
And so it's just sinking into that wet soil.
Yeah. All right, guys. Any other questions or comments? All right. I forgot. I do have to disclose a person died. Do I have to disclose the person died on the property? No. Not unless it just happened, Jika. While you were there. Did you do it, Jika? If you didn't do it, you're fine. No, no, you don't have to disclose if they die. Any other questions or comments? All right, guys. Well, thank you all. We will be having on the 22nd. I don't know if we're going to have a open forum or not. Might just let you guys get on here and talk about stuff. Anybody want Daryl?
Let's have an open forum at like an International Drive restaurant or something. Something you can do for the holidays. Holidays are coming up.
They sure are.
Christmas.
They sure are. So you, Daryl wants to do an in-person one.
Yeah, like over off of International Drive or something.
Well, let's discuss that. Let's discuss that. Maybe we will. All right. So yeah, we'll discuss that, Daryl. Thank you for that. That's
Maybe
good.
you maybe could do like breakfast, so it's kind of early, you know, so it's not like, so it's earlier and.
Yeah, it would be. Jika wants to do it. Yolanda is in. She's down for it, she says. So
as long as I have mimosas at the breakfast restaurant, I'm good.
okay, I'm sure they do. All right, guys. Well, we'll work that out. You'll be hearing from me.
Cool.
Any ideas? Email me. All right, guys. Have a great week. Happy holidays to you guys. And we'll see you next week somewhere. Yolanda loves mimosas. I'm not surprised. Goodbye, everybody.
Have a good
Bye.
one. Merry Christmas.